What fanbase community do you know that just needs to chill out? Totally original user said. Airsoft guys. Calm down. I don't give a fuck that I'm wearing a Russian camo while using an AR rifle. I'm just having fun playing airsoft. Squats and Sugars said. Usually they are the hardcore milsim guys. Some of the historical guys can be pricks too if you show up with a Mixmaster kit at a non-historical event. I get it if you are at a World War II sim event and someone shows up not matching. Or if you show to an Easy West game and someone doesn't follow the damn rules on fandom camo. But some let it bleed into fun games where it doesn't matter. And it can be especially bad when it's super nitpicky. I run a Thompson, but prefer modern pouches. Who gives a fuck what random shit I use at a random game? Johnter19 said. The CrossFit community. I've always knew that people rolled their eyes at the CrossFit community and I never got it. After all, I'm okay with someone working out and being happy about their healthy lifestyle. Then my sister-in-law started doing CrossFit about a year ago. Every time I see her, the first words out of her mouth have something to do with CrossFit. It's either about her workout she did earlier that day, or some new PR she had, or some competition she was in. It never stops. She also developed this smug attitude about it and has basically stated that all other workouts are not truly beneficial the way CrossFit is. She even belittled my father-in-law who gets up and runs 4 miles every morning. Evidently, running isn't good enough. 2 weeks ago, we were at the beach with some other family and my sister-in-law had some bruises on her knees from a CrossFit injury. It was her source of pride that entire week. She called it her CrossFit bruise and constantly referred to it. I hope I can cover up my CrossFit bruise. I don't want to get sunburned on my CrossFit bruise. I have to be careful how I sit or it hurts my CrossFit bruise. The thing is, her muscles look no different than they did before she started CrossFit. Dekb said. All of the ones that ship the actors in a show rather than the characters. Think what you want about fictional characters, but more than once I've seen these echo chambers within larger fandoms where these people that truly believe, female lead, is secretly married to, male lead, male led's relationship with his real-life partner is a cover, male led's real-life partner is a shrew who is ruining his life, and both actors' romantic lives have been carefully and deceitfully choreographed by their traitorous management and evil studio bosses. Also, it's all just about to come crashing down. Any day now they're going to publicly declare their love for each other. Management studio be damned. Oh, anyone who questions this narrative, whether to point out factual errors or simply question why the powers that be wouldn't love the marketing boon of the romantic leads together, is either a PR shill or a malicious bully. Dekb said. It's so common, I'm vaguely aware it's also a thing in Star Wars and K-pop and I'm sure many other fandoms. I'm starting to wonder if it's the same people just fandom hopping from one intrusive obsession to the next. Honestly, at a certain point it's not funny or enraging so much as just sad. It's like these tiny communities where shared delusion is a prerequisite for continued membership, because taking a step back and examining your mental health and the narrative you believe in means losing all of these relationships. Chingweiyingji said. Yes. The SMP crowd is practically a cult. Someone on Twitter pointed out that there seems to be a cycle where it goes. Dream fucks up, Dream's fans rush to his defense, Dream puts out a half-assed apology or no apology at all, Dream tweets out love you guys. A few days later, everyone forgets, rinse and repeat. In his fanbase size, Dream can do no wrong. Hell, they'll listen to him before they listen to anyone else because they're impressionable children. Part of Dream's thing is that he doesn't distance himself from his fans, whereas most YouTubers will establish that they're not your friend. Dream doesn't. Coolest bitch on earth said. My roommate is a big Minecraft YouTube fandom person and is always telling me about streamers and drama and etc. There's so much of it, and I don't understand anything. So then they said this guy had already seen the map before the Minecraft tournament, but then that blew over because it turns out that Dream cheated on his speedrun. I genuinely find it all fascinating, but I'm also extremely grateful that my internet days consist of lurking instead of engaging in that kind of fandom interaction. Jack the Stripper said. The ones who think smoking weed is the equivalent of having a personality are the worst. I smoked weed every day for years, and somehow I never really felt the urge to brag about it. It's just a hobby. Talk about it with people who share it, and try not to drown everybody in conversation about it 24/7. That's annoying regardless of what the hobby is. Shigui said, WWE Universe is shitty at best and creepy at worst. I've seen everything from guys sending the women detailed fantasies to demanding private medical information from wrestlers, saying that they assumed someone wasn't on TV because he got deported, and sending threats and abuse to wrestlers who are getting pushed because their faves aren't on TV. Some of them clearly have teams running their accounts, but a lot of the mid and low card talent run their accounts by themselves, and I can't imagine what constantly hearing that shit does to someone. Out of all of the parasocial relationships, the one has to suck the most because so many people can't separate the person from the personality. Terrible Attitude said, yes. Some girl who was, I think, actually still a high school-aged child at the time, drew fan art a character who is full-figured as thin. This character had never been shown head-on in the show yet at the time, so IDK if this aspect of the character's body was well known yet. So people, many of whom were adults, lost their shit and led a campaign against her. There may have been some dredging up of this child's old fan art, so made when she was not only a kid, but a young kid, where she drew non-white characters as white pale-skinned, but I can't recall if that was legit or not. So after being tormented she made a suicide attempt. I'm not one to jump on bullied to suicide narratives, but the dogpiling was actually insane, and it's not surprising that it would set off a person who again, was an actual child. I vaguely remember friends of mine who were in their mid-20s waxing poetic about the situation and being kind of sympathetic to the people dogpiling her. They didn't participate. And my thought was, this is over a kid's show that isn't even as good as Powerpuff Girls. Introvertuser 46732 said, allow me to contribute with a couple of the ones I am more familiar with. Among Us, yeah, the memes are very annoying and I am guilty of using them before if you check my profile, but it is annoying when you see a "when the imposter is sus" meme for the umpteenth time. If we ignore the memes, then the sub seems to treat every error as some doomsday waiting to happen. Yes, the hackers are bad and the anime lobbies are terrible, those ones have some legitimate issues, but whining that quick chat killed Among Us is just not true. Yeah, it's annoying how accounts handled it, but it's a simple fix, so not worth whining about for the 1000th time. I think this one has died off for the whole art style change. Danganronpa. This one is mostly away from the sub, as the sub is generally pretty polite from my experience, albeit with some weirdness at times, but every fanbase has its weird sides. I'm mainly referring to Dr. Twitter and Discord, since that, like every fandom, is where things go to die. This time it's about ships. People have been doxxed because of such reasons, which is downright ridiculous, as like everything we have, it's an opinion and people are fine to ship like whatever they want. It said thing is problematic. I'd advise speaking to them the best you can. Doxxing is never okay. I think a Chayaki cosplayer was doxxed for stupid reasons as well. Introvertuser 46732 said, Nintendo fans. I feel like the biggest problem with Nintendo fans is how damn ungrateful they are. Yes, they have some legitimate points at times concerning what Nintendo did with the Melee tournament and Nintendo's weird business practices, but for some reason whatever Nintendo does always has some stigma against it. Mario Golf, for example, while the reception was universally positive, I believe, some people were still asking for Mario Strikers when characters are announced for Smash. The most common comments I tend to see are, who asked for this character? Or why did X get in? Why character should have gotten instead? Sephiroth is a good example. He was hyped up and tons of people wanted him in. I think the demand increased once Cloud got in, and the cycle of the above-mentioned comments made it in. Yeah, the fans do have some influence, mainly is how Steve got in, I think. But it's up to Nintendo, and some characters aren't possible. For example, they are not from a video game. Sorry if I sound ranty here. Every fanbase has its good side, it is just that some have very vocal minorities. Freddy31 said, also people that are like, I voted X my whole life. Nothing else. I see it as impossible to vote for something else. Dude, what you should do is not vote for X party because it's the party. You should, theoretically, check what each party did since last election, and what their roadmap for the next mandate. If you voted for the same party for the last 40 years, really? Your opinion has never changed? The party has never changed? Another party never came and was more in line with what you believe in? And that is especially true somewhere that is not the US, where you don't just have two options. Shigui said, not just Zoomers. I have a friend who's in her 30s who is so obsessed with BTS that she can't so much as mention the letters B and T together before she's off. She cut an outing short because they were going to be on TV and she needed to be present for the Twitter conversation. For her birthday she wanted to go to a KBBQ because they play pop videos and anytime they came on we all had to stop talking so she could vibe. She's totally obsessed with Korea and wants to go there to find a Korean husband so she can pretend he's one of the guys. It's fucking creepy and fetishistic. We have another friend who kind of likes them and all she'll talk to about with her is BTS. Dame Range 13 said, Yankee fans, chill out. Every year is not y'all's year just because the team spends more than any other team. It's sad that you guys still suck and haven't won a ring in the last decade, haven't been relevant either. Congrats, you guys won a bunch of rings when there was 12 teams and they traveled by train. Get the fuck out of here. Pitch Pat Bori said, Pop. Being a Korean and living in Seoul, it's very cringe seeing 17-year-old American girls calling pop stars their husband and such. And also One Punch Man fandom. They think that he's the strongest in all of anime. False. Edit. You can't say, insert character name here, can beat Goku, unless you watch the full franchise. Cryplane said, Car guys. Yeah, I understand that you wasted $11K on a Lincoln with 150,000 M, but Toyota makes far more reliable cars for half the price and my abused Toyota will still outlive your Ford Lincoln Chevy that you basically had to spoon feed to get to 200K. Also, most of them gotta keep to some degree. Oh, you drive X car for X reason. Why would you bother driving that? That car is trash because it doesn't have as much horsepower as I think it should. It doesn't look cool enough. I don't like the way it looks. Oh, you drive that? That isn't even a real car, so you don't like cars. You're not a car guy and your opinion doesn't matter. The Prius is the first car that comes to mind with that and only a true car guy can appreciate the Prius. Numtemoop said, I don't want kids, but I don't hate kids. I have a lot of admiration for people who raise kids, and a lot of sadness for kids when they aren't being taken care of properly. Personally, I am just too immature and have too many problems for foster adopt bio, plus I have gender issues that make a biological kid just disgusting to think about. I think a lot of the backlash comparing hate parents get from people there has a lot to do with how the people who don't want kids are seen as lesser by family, or emotionally abused and manipulated by family, and also by what society and media says is normal and good for someone to be doing with their life, and what is bad. This makes people feel lesser than and defensive and then they lash out with bad behaviors. That said, when they are old enough to know better they should really self-reflect on the things they say to others and the way they feel because it is toxic as all trial and often hurtful to others. With all that free time people really could work through their issues more and learn to better balance their own feelings without hurting others who did nothing to them. Man, I lost my train of thought. Basically, society and expectations fuck us all up and people need to consider more self-reflection and therapy tools to use in their daily life. She and Alex said, I know of two. Genshin Impact most gacha mobile games. They seriously need to cool it. Especially when they drive fan artists to quit social media because they didn't draw someone correctly, used lighting that made one character's skin slightly less dark than usual, etc. They disgust me and I never want to associate with the game or its fan base. The VTuber community is a train wreck. The moment you say something neutral or negative about someone's virtual waifu you're going to get a lot of shit. The VTuber community is full of gatekeepers, misandry, because there aren't a lot of men in the community who get a lot of fans, and there's a lot of pressure to collab or be unique. If you're going to become a VTuber, you'll need to put yourself in debt for a model, setup and equipment. You also need to have the expectation that you will fail. A person is a successful VTuber when they have an established following already. A VTuber I know of who had a great setup, wonderful model and everything never got more than 50 viewers and failed to get attention. She ended up graduating early because it was harming her mental health. Some VTubers are extremely secretive about their setups like it's some kind of forbidden knowledge or tell you to Google it instead of being a helpful role model and answering questions that Google might not have. The community is absolutely garbage when the simps are obsessed with their queens and will do pretty much everything for their digital waifu. Sometimes I don't think they realize a real person is behind the avatar. There are some nice VTubers out there but overall the community is trash. It's like idol culture. Mesa17 said, Rainbow Six Siege players. They will always find a reason to hate you. Oh, you got a kill, that was mine. You got less kills than me? You are pathetic. You play a low-tier operator? You are not supposed to have fun, you are supposed to win. Oh, you play exclusively S-tier operators? You must sweat a lot and be a slave to the meta. If you are new to the game, you will learn what a smurf is really quickly. The Siege community is ruthless if you ask me. All sorts of people will tell you no, this is the correct way to play, and if you don't obey their imaginary rulebook they just team kill you. The game also has a long and ugly history of people glitching then exploiting to win. It is also kind of a lose-win situation if you want to be in a support role. Providing armor, healing people, you help the team win but you get shit-talked because your KD ratio is naturally going to be lower. TLDR, the Siege community is horrible for two reasons. If you want to chill, people hate you. If you want to win, everyone will scream at you no, this is the correct way to play and team kill you if they hate you. Not me fault said. The idea of public figures being cancelled, socially and professionally ostracized, following allegations of misconduct, usually of a bigoted or sexually aggressive nature. People get cancelled following allegations of rape, grooming, discrimination, or just general churlishness. On one hand, cancel culture is a nice change of pace as it's causing long-time problem celebrities, those with really bad reputations, to finally be held accountable for their shittiness. On the other, people are cancelled typically based on rumor allegation, and it tends to be fueled largely by people enjoying outrage and wanting to see popular people taken down, rather than a genuine desire to make our celebrity culture more accountable. There have been some cancellations that weren't really legitimate, caused by unfounded rumors and bad faith actors. Isaac Kiatarj said, I like Danganronpa, but I do not interact with the fanbase at all. According to a friend, there was drama semi-recently because someone she knows got a call-out post on Tumblr, accusing them of tracing their fan art. And it consisted of shit like, see the glasses in this fan art? If you look at the official art, there are the same glasses. If you stretch the image horizontally like this, shrink it vertically like this, and rotate like this, it's exactly what they drew. And it's just very you guys know there's only so many ways to draw specific things, right? Also, if that somehow didn't sound ridiculous to you, I will note that my friend has literally watched that artist drawing, so she knows for a fact that it's bullshit. Alta Common said, as much of an issue as I have with the toxicity that happens in the Star Wars fanbase, this right here is why I understand some of it. The Last Jedi had some major flaws. As did The Rise of Skywalker, but any criticism of it becomes this, well, you're just a misogynistic neckbeard. Numerous people, including well-respected critics not on the payroll of Disney, have pointed out the issues in these movies, and the response is always you're just butthurt re as a girl, and hear me out, it's a mediocre movie with massive flaws that cost Disney billions in revenue and forced them to redo their entire strategy with Star Wars. But no, that was all cause of a bunch of salty neckbeards.